Welcome to the Shootin The Que podcast presented by Heath Riles Barbecue with tips, tricks, and an inside look at some of the top pitmasters in the game. Now here's your host, Heath Riles.
Welcome back to another episode of Shootin The Que. Today, of course, we're joined by my lovely wife, Candace, and our good friend, David Bissmeyer from Bacon Up. How's it going, David?
Good, Heath. Nice to see you. Candace, nice to see you.
Well, for everybody that does not know you or know about Bacon Up, can you tell everybody kind of a little bit who you are and how you got started in this crazy world of bacon grease here?
It is a crazy story. I mean, bacon's only been around about 400 years or so, right? But, yeah, we, I think similar to you, Heath, passions build over a lifetime and comes from life experiences, embracing things that bring you joy on a day-to-day basis, and a little bit of dreaming and, being close to those that are, family and near to you. And for me and my four siblings that started this business, really what that looked like for us growing up in Western Kentucky was we had big family gatherings, grandmother, lots of aunts and uncles, and always was food around. There was always an oven going, a stove, a grill, or a fryer somewhere with the gatherings, and we would get together countless numbers of times a year, and cooking and good food was always an anchor spot for our gatherings. And fast forward to when I started working in the oil and gas industry down in South Louisiana, and they've got some good food down there, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
Worked with a gentleman that I was talking to about our family gatherings, and he said, "Hey, y'all ever fried a turkey?" And it's like, this was 1984. And, of course, nobody north of I-10 had fried turkeys back then. And I said, no, but I think I need to. I've fried a lot of things. So that year for Thanksgiving, we fried a turkey. It was a huge success, what have you. Now, fast forward to 2017, 2018, and my brother-in-law works for one of the largest independent bacon manufacturers in the country. And they make a lot of pre-cooked bacon and bacon bits and generate a lot of grease. A third of a piece of bacon turns into grease when it's cooked. So I was driving up to Cincinnati where the plants are located. My brother-in-law and sister and brothers live. And I called him and said, hey, we've been frying turkeys, like I said, since 1984. Can you give me a 5-gallon bucket of bacon grease? Because I think this thing would be better even in bacon grease. And he kind of laughed at me like he's done a lot of times through his life, but I loved him like a brother. And he said, I'll do it. So we show up, and long story short, we fried a turkey that year in bacon grease. And just the aroma, the texture that it put on the turkey, we used some of the bacon grease and injected it for flavoring along with the other seasonings that I do. And prior to actually frying the turkey, we fried some French fries and tater tots in it, and it was fantastic and just was a great experience, which cooking, of course, is about eating, but it's about the overall experience. Again, we were with a large family, and out of that generated the idea. It was like, we ought to see if we can turn this into a business. So that's the long genesis of where we got to.
Well, I have to ask, without getting into much of the nuts and bolts of things, but how did you, like you said, bacon's been around for 400 years. Just on a whim one day said, I'm going to fry up a turkey in some bacon grease, and then...
It was really kind of that simple, Heath. It's just, I've used bacon grease, and everybody's used bacon grease for a long time, right? And it just, I don't know. It was one of those ideas that came to me and sounded like a good thing to do.
Wow. That's amazing. And so starting the company along, kind of tell us a little bit about, you have 4 other siblings, 3 brothers and a sister that's involved with the business as well. All of y'all run it as a family business.
We do. And it's kind of unique. Feels unique. We've got probably over 250 years of business experience in a number of operations, logistics, sales, marketing, operations, as I said. So we really do bring a broad breadth of experience. Many of us have been small business folks in our own careers prior to this, and I certainly enjoy business, as do my siblings, and it was just a really neat opportunity and had a good complementary skill set that came together to be able to pull this thing off. And then we've brought in some people that are very talented and helped us with the marketing. I believe you've met Jamie. We've got accounting staff and logistics staff that are fantastic, that have really helped pull this thing off. But we're all still very involved in the business.
Wow, that is pretty cool. So y'all kind of took a dive too into kind of the same thing we do y'all started using kind of influencers getting the product out there online as well.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the success you've had with some of that?
Yeah, so definitely have caught a wave as social media has come along. Like I said, we kind of kicked off in 2018 and got into Buc-ee's early in Texas and their vestibules and had a real good run there. And then got into some of the key retailers like H-E-B and Kroger's and Walmart in that Texas, Oklahoma region in 18-19 time frame. And just I'm not a social media guy, to be honest, but some friends said, hey, you ought to check out this Cooking with Daryl. He was using bacon a lot. So we had one of our, Jamie, reach out to him, and a relationship was born. And from that, it really caught the wave. I mean, he's a fantastic guy, fun to be around, and has a tremendous following, as you guys know, and really just picked up and ran with that. And then we've since connected up with several other influencers that have just really caught that wave. So it's really been a unique opportunity, you know, versus the old school marketing dollars that, you know, different industries have had to spend. It's a great way to reach a lot of people, and it's a great product that is, you know, has a lot of versatility across a lot of platforms.
No doubt. So what did you really do before you got started with Bacon Up?
So me personally, I was in the petroleum industry, worked for a number of years, drilling wells, and, you know, loved the outdoors. That business is conducive to being outdoors, and it's kind of where my heart is, and a lot of good cooking that goes along in the fun part of the oil industry. So,
well, when you talked about Thanksgiving before and doing Bacon Up, what grease was you frying in before you decided to fry in the bacon grease?
Well, what everybody used to use, peanut
Vegetable
oil.
oil, peanut
Vegetable
oil.
oil, peanut oil.
I tell you, peanut oil has gotten outrageous, hasn't it?
It has.
I mean, I can remember as a kid
outrageous.
cooking, you'd see a lot of the old timers want to cook fish with peanut oil, right?
Yeah.
And it got to where I can remember when we were coming up, as I was in high school, my dad got to where he wouldn't buy it because it had become triple and you know, not triple, but yeah, about triple the cost as regular oil.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy on that for sure.
But you know, this bacon grease and all animal fats generate a different texture, a crispier texture that when you fry with it. And I mean, the Bacon Up product, it is 100% authentic bacon grease. It can be used for flavoring. You know, one of our taglines is fry, cook, and bake. But on the frying front, it does such a better job, in my opinion, than the vegetable oils. And it's not only infuses a little bit of hint of flavor in bacon, but when you fry with it, it's not like it hits you like a piece of bacon, you know, so it doesn't take over your catfish or your crappie or turkey or chicken fried steak. It doesn't take it over on a flavoring standpoint. It's a complementary flavoring and creates a texture that is much better than what the vegetable oils can do.
Wow. I never have thought about frying any fish in Bacon Up, but that's...
We use it even like to make cornbread. We'll
Yeah.
melt it in the
Fantastic.
skillet.
Yeah, I saw
and
do it in my
your
cornbread.
cornbread you did. I mean, it's
what else?
fantastic.
I don't know. We've used it for quite a while.
I put it in a scoop. I put a tablespoon in all my green beans
Yeah.
on the stove. If I'm opening up a can of green beans, putting a teaspoon, you know, whatever,
That's
in there with a little bit of season.
That's
I know
it, man.
a lot of people probably don't realize that how much flavor that will impart into those green beans.
Yeah, we're actually in a major restaurant chain in the Dallas area that are using our product in their green beans, and they're known. It's a Babe's Chicken House, and everybody loves their green beans. Well, it's
Bacon
they're
Up.
rolling it with Bacon Up.
Wow. So, you know, how did y'all come up with the name Bacon Up?
Well, we're all sitting around kind of throwing in ideas, and have to give props out to Jamie, who I think you've talked to, Heath, and she runs all our social media and marketing contacts or whatever. You know, all the siblings were throwing in, and she came up with the name, and it was pretty much hands down. Like
Just an instant, what'd you say?
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those, right? It was just like, well, yeah, everybody, you know.
Nobody had nothing negative to say about it.
The up trend, I think, was on, you know, Cowboy Up was popular back in 17, 18, and different ups, I think. But it was just like, heck yeah, because it'll take all the flavoring to the next level.
Wow. So what was the big breakthrough moment for y'all that you honestly knew you had a legitimate business model?
I think when we had opportunity to work with Buc-ee's and got into their vestibule and saw the pull that the product was having with the customer, and from that it leverages into an opportunity to work with H-E-B and Kroger in Texas prior to then Walmart. But when H-E-B took it in and we saw the sales and the reorder rate, I think it was right, in that 6-month period when we saw the frequency of ordering, that we really felt like this product's going to work and the customers are going to want it.
Wow.
Did you have any issues during COVID? Just with not necessarily like just supply, because I feel like everybody was impacted in some kind of way,
Absolutely.
Whether it's packaging or anything.
We had a little bit of the packaging, but Candace, to be honest, we saw a bit of a hockey stick favorable during COVID because restaurants were either limited access or were shut down completely. Mm-hmm. Again, bacon grease is not unique, but the availability that we were providing was unique. Right. And people could bring that restaurant experience, that little bit of unique flavoring into their own kitchen. And that really resonated with the customer. And we really did see, the social media was still hitting. Of course, that could keep rolling because it was all online, and the availability of our products. So we went through a little bit of, container supply, but with the help of Sugar Creek, we were able to stay in front of that, and that really proved a bit of a launching pad, if you would.
Right.
Wow. Well, I have to also, this is probably I don't want to call it a tough question, but how much do you get any negativity from any traditionalist that say you're not really cooking your own bacon grease, that you're out buying it? Do you get any negative feedback on the southern side of things, I guess?
Well,
to say?
We get some comments, very rarely, what have you, but it's interesting. I have this bottle of water here. Sometimes we'll be at shows and somebody will be saying, well, why would I pay for bacon grease? I do my own bacon grease and what have you. And candidly, I applaud. Everybody ought to be using bacon grease. And I mean it heartfelt. It makes everything better.
It takes a lot of bacon to get to this, though.
It does take a lot of bacon, and we can do that. But I asked the gentleman or the lady that's kind of like, why would I pay for that? I'm like, well, why are you holding this? Because there's a water fountain over there. Well, this is convenient. I'm like, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. I truly applaud people. So many times we hear, y'all probably had the experience of, oh, my grandmother had the Folgers can underneath.
Yes. Mine did.
Kind of interesting Folgers marketing, because it's always a Folgers can, almost always. Maxwell's in there too. But that's great. But what happens when you wake up on Sunday morning and that thing's empty and you want to make some French toast or some pancakes? And you don't have bacon in the refrigerator. What are you going to do? You're going to pick up our Bacon Up.
That's right.
It's ready to go. The other beautiful thing that will not necessarily challenge, but bring to bear is that through our packaging, we filter the bacon grease that's generated through 3 levels of filtering. So there's no fines or bits in there. So there's nothing to scald. There's nothing to go rancid in it. It is pure, authentic bacon grease. So it's clean to put in your green beans. Some people don't want the bits. They just want the flavor, right? In your soups, you may not want the bits floating around. Some people do, some don't. But you can always add bacon bits. But because we're filtering it, we have a much longer shelf life than a Folgers can would have. We have the purity, the cleanliness, the look that makes it so versatile. So that's where our strong selling point has been. And again, I applaud everybody. You should use bacon grease however you get it.
Well, and it's hard to really clean bacon grease. You can buy the little filters off of Amazon. Like my grandmother had a silver can sitting on hers. It had the little miniature holes in it, and you pour everything up, and it catches the bits on top. You let it dry, and you knock the bits off over here and put your thing back, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people had those. It had some kind of little design on it.
I would just like to add that my grandmother's did not have an expiration date, because I don't think she lived by any expiration date.
Well, that's true. That's old school.
Old
for sure,
school
Candace.
people did not care.
Well,
it was just add layer, a layer, a layer, a layer.
Well, everybody's not like you when the milk expires.
I am bad about that now.
That day. She won't even smell it to be sure. She's throwing it away.
It has a date for a reason.
Okay.
And see, with me, I'm not that way. I'm with milk. You open it up right and smell it first. If it's going out that day, it's not like a light switch at 11:59 goes, you need to spoil. And so
I think I'm a little more on your side, Heath, on that. I don't know. But Candace, we do have 18-month shelf life, so
yeah, that's
good to go.
That's the difference.
Same as dry rub.
Well, I guess so.
That's exactly right. Well, tell me about this big jug here. So y'all sell a smaller 14-ounce retail, but your stuff was in a big jug to begin with before you went to that smaller packaging.
Yeah, so
right?
we were in a 1-gallon container with Buc-ee's we started, and we had good success in that vestibule, but we really felt like maybe that was too big a volume for the everyday use, right? I mean, that volume was great for frying fish and chicken fried steak and cast iron skillet frying and what have you, but so we scaled down, if you will, on the size of the container, not our business, but scaled down to this 14-ounce container, and it really resonated with the everyday cooks, home, whatever. So last year we had been selling into Bass Pro on the 14-ounce in their cooking camping section and having a lot of good success with them, and they love the product. So we got in discussion with them about doing a limited trial launch back to the roots of the turkey frying, and went out with a couple thousand buckets with them last year and sold out, I think, in about 4 days over a weekend.
Wow.
You know, and they were like, okay. So this year we've come back, same container, in a much bigger way, and we're in, I think, about 80% of the Bass Pros. We're in Lowe's big box, Atwood's farm stores, with this big container for this limited season for turkey frying. It's also great for deer camp, hunting camps, or what have you.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we've talked a little bit, Heath, about hunting, but you know,
I'm gonna have to get one of these for our farm for sure.
You fry some backstrap in this, or some duck breast. Fish, of course, is fantastic. You know, it works great. But the big bucket we've got out this fall season for hunting and turkey, Thanksgiving, Christmas, holiday season.
Wow. Yeah, that's I don't know. I never would have thought that I would be buying a 3-gallon bucket of bacon grease. But honestly, once you change over and stop using so much olive oil and other stuff, the bacon grease has so much more flavor to me.
Yeah.
And it's, you know.
I'm interested to try a turkey in it now.
I know.
Because we haven't done that.
I've never deep fried a turkey
in bacon.
But you've deep fried.
You have.
Oh, yeah.
Course,
I done a video last year on one.
Yeah.
But, and I think that's when I wound up getting a 3-pound
Made a
pail
lot of people mad.
of y'all's. Yeah, we made a lot of
You were
people
not
mad.
safe, according to the internet.
Well, and I'll say this too. Do you kill your heat all the way when you go to slowly drop your turkey in?
Did I kill it?
All the way? Or do you just cut it down?
Well, I actually come up because I find that I don't want to go below 350, Heath. I like that 350 to 365.
So you're hot too when you go in.
I go in hot, and I don't want it to go below 350. But
So you would catch the same wrath that I would catch.
You would
on
make a
mine.
lot of people mad.
well, okay.
We're not in the kitchen. We're
For
outside.
safety
We're
reasons.
way outside,
Yeah.
and I'm very comfortable. We're very safe. We have fire extinguisher. We have the welding glove mitts and what have you. And we're far away from any structures or what have you.
Not in the garage.
Yeah, so I definitely applaud everyone being very safe about
Yes.
their approach to how they fry their turkey. But and there's nothing super magical about 350. That's a David Bissmeyer kind of thing, I guess. But
Well, we might have to try that this year.
Yeah, for sure. We will.
Coming up on that season.
It's definitely coming up. I've got to knock out about 4 or 5 turkeys this year. There's no doubt about that.
we do some charity events up in the Cincinnati area, you know, where we'll fry a lot of turkeys for different charities and have people bring their turkeys, and we're running them in a safe manner, running the fryers and what have you. And it's really been a nice success because it's a unique experience. We're hoping it to soon become not a unique experience because of the availability, and we've got a lot of availability this year. So, you know, ask your all your followers to kind of check it out. It's a good alternative. It performs just like peanut oil in terms of the versatility and the heat. You treat it just the same when you're frying your bird.
Well, we're definitely going to give it a try ourselves. Are y'all planning on working on any other products in the system later on?
We've got some ideas. Probably don't want to flip them out there right now, but we're really still leaning into our retail growth. We're in about 16,000 stores across the country, all the major retailers. We're in farm stores. As I mentioned to you, Lowe's big box store, been a very good client of ours, carrying the 14-ounce in their grill section, and they're carrying the 3-gallon as well for this holiday season. So,
well, I have to ask this: what's the one dish that is always a go-to for you that you cook all the time that you add bacon up to?
well, if I have to say my absolute go-to, It's a little sore spot in my family, I got to be honest. So my wife's from South Louisiana. She's an amazing cook and a wonderful lady. She taught me how to cook gumbo. But about 5 years ago, I made my roux 100% out of bacon grease, and it changed my chicken and sausage gumbo, Heath. Now she's kind of mad at me.
So you've got my attention now.
Yes, sir.
Now, I would have never thought about making the roux out of bacon grease.
I would challenge you to do that, and you'll never do it with anything else. I promise you. So on a chicken sausage now, seafood gumbo, something that might be different.
He doesn't like seafood gumbo.
I don't like seafood
much.
gumbo. I'm a chicken and sausage gumbo person.
Okay, so here's your pattern. After Thanksgiving, you're going to fry your turkey. You're going to eat the whole turkey, but you're still going to have the carcass. So make you a turkey and sausage gumbo. Start the roux with Bacon Up.
So I did a turkey and sausage gumbo last year.
Okay.
But I didn't use Bacon Up, of course, for the roux. I actually used some jar roux to make it easy on everybody.
Okay. Okay.
But that was, I need to cook my own roux down. Man, you're blowing my mind on that one, making a roux out of Bacon Up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So tell me about the flavor. What is so unique to you making a roux out of it versus like the taste wise?
Yeah, so it just brings a heartiness to a depth of flavor. If it didn't tell somebody I use bacon, they're like, oh, this doesn't taste like bacon, because that's not what you want in your gumbo, right? And that's where first impression, I'm not going to use that for my roux, but it just gives a depth of flavor. And that's what bacon grease does in a lot of things, like your vegetables. I mean, you can taste that hint maybe through like a green bean or something like that. Yeah. But sauteed Brussels sprouts is another one of my go-tos.
Oh, I've used Brussels sprouts.
It's just crazy good. I don't know. I like Brussels sprouts, but again, it's just that versatility. But back in your stews or your étouffées, where you start with the roux as well, or the gumbo, it just generates a depth of flavor and heartiness that you want in those items in that gumbo.
Yeah, because I use it actually Bacon Up to make a lot of gravies out of.
Gravies,
like pan gravies when I hadn't fried something already, but
yes.
I want a little gravy or something.
Oh,
we do that a lot. Or I do.
And that's back to the convenience and availability, right? You got a big group coming to your hunting camp or whatever. I mean, you have to cook a whole lot of bacon to get enough grease to make a big pot of gravy for the biscuits that you're going to make, which you also put Bacon Up in the biscuits too.
Yeah. So you use that instead of lard?
Yes, sir.
Well, I have to ask, just because I feel like I always fall into this category, have you had anybody, or maybe even you, have you prepared any desserts at all with this?
So we have.
Because I know bacon is being paired with desserts more and more.
Yes. So in a pie crust, an apple pie crust.
Okay.
Again, lard, if you've cooked with lard in your pie crust, it gives us that flakiness. You do that, and it gives that nice little offset in a pie crust for apple pie is really good. We actually have a chocolate chip recipe that we use some Bacon Up in that has a nice little hint.
I could see where a salted caramel chocolate chip cookie would probably be good.
That, or I was over here thinking, like, you know how you fry donuts and they make the maple bacon donuts now. So I'm wondering if anybody's fried any donuts in this to do a maple bacon donut.
I'll be honest, I've not fried a donut yet, but I will be putting that on my holiday list, Candace.
I don't know how to fry donuts personally, but surely we can figure it out.
And bread pudding's another thing.
Oh, bread pudding would be good.
One where this will
Heath
really,
likes bread pudding.
Yeah,
I do. I just don't care for raisins in it.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
I'm weird.
But Candace said it goes back to our tagline of fry, cook, bake. It is versatile across the entire platform. Yeah. It really is. We've got a high-end steak restaurant that I'm working with in Oklahoma City, and they cool it down to where it's about 80 degrees. It starts hardening like lard does,
right?
And they're coating their ribeyes prior to cutting them and letting them age, coated with Bacon Up for about 2 weeks.
I've seen some, not with the Bacon Up, but weren't people doing that with butter or something at one time? So now they're trying it with the Bacon Up. I bet that's really good. It probably puts a lot of flavor in there.
It does.
So have you seen the Lard injected pork chops?
I've not seen that, Heath.
I have. It was kind of coming out of South Mississippi at one time around Flowood from the Flowood Butcher. And now that we're sitting here talking about that, it's resonating in my mind. I never have had that either. I know there's several other people that do it. But I wonder, I think we're going to have to inject a pork loin or a pork chop with Bacon Up.
Yeah. I think That's only a good thing to.
I mean, they say that the lard injected pork chop is insanely flavorful.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine that the bacon up, that would be incredible in like a French rack of pork.
Yeah. Another thing we've had fun, I know a lot of people have pizza ovens, right?
Right.
They're very popular. You put bacon up in your
Dough.
and you get that little bit of hint and that little texture change in the dough on the crust. It's really good. And that's something people make dessert pizzas like cinnamon and honey, and you put that in the dough, run that into your pizza oven. It's really good. Grilled oysters, that's another thing we do in our pizza oven. Sprinkle a little bacon up on our grilled oysters. Or pizza oven oysters, I guess, technically.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about doing oysters in a pizza oven. I have a wood-fired pizza oven.
Yeah, he does a lot of stuff in the
I love chickens and things like that in it. What's some of the best feedback you've ever got about Bacon Up?
Well, we've been at some cooking events, and people are like, oh, you changed my life. It's kind of funny. We've done some tailgates, and, of course, people are in pretty good moods at some of the tailgates. But I think probably one of the biggest comments we'll get is the convenience that we talked about, or like immediate access to clean, ready-to-use flavoring for whatever they're doing on their grills, ovens, frying or what have you. But it's just the convenience that really resonates with a lot of people.
And that's important today. I mean, unfortunately, I mean that in a good way, I guess. But, it's just not like it. People used to, like our grandmothers and all that, used to spend all that time doing that. And now the world is just so busy.
Yeah.
And so people want that convenience.
And we'll get
it's a good thing to have it.
Yes, it is. And kind of the other thing I would compliment with that is people like, was this like bacon grease? No, it's not like bacon grease. It is bacon grease.
Yeah.
And that's important for
It's just clean.
everybody to know that it is,
Bacon
it tastes
grease.
like it is bacon
Yeah.
grease.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Right.
Authentic bacon grease.
And that is pretty cool that it's all bacon grease and it's filtered at the amount of triple filtered, I guess.
Yeah.
And so refined and so clean that it is, because we've all looked at bacon grease that had a brown tinge to it, right? We no matter how much you've strained it and the cheesecloth you've used and all that, it still had that. So what y'all are doing, you've took more of that scientific approach and really industrial approach to really refine it.
That's right.
And now got it to where it's a great product to be used in desserts and pies and baking and like you said, frying it, no matter what it is, everything. Well, rancid bacon grease, I hate to say it, can really turn you off really quick.
Yes.
If you hadn't stored it properly, filtered it properly, done things that you're supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of the same way with beef tallow.
Yep.
Right? And a lot of people jump out and do some of that stuff and save it, right? And then they don't know how to store it and it spoils, and they kind of get, I'm not messing with that again.
Right.
And that's why I think tallows have got so popular as well, along with your bacon up here. It seems like we've seen a lot more tallows enter the market and a lot more
I think
come in.
Things are definitely trending animal fats, to be honest. I think it's a uphill battle from all the marketing dollars that got put into the hydrogenated oils. I'm not here to talk bad about anybody's product, but this is authentic animal fats. And the other thing we talk to people is like, get your fats from the farm, not the factories, right? And so you do see the animal fats really trending, Heath.
It's 100% trending. I mean, I'm sure, I don't know your every number on everything, but I know that I'm sure Bacon Up is right there with beef tallow, and the way beef tallow has been trending the last year, like you said, get it from a farm, not a factory.
That's right.
And when you really look at the nuts and bolts of a lot of things going on right now, it's a lot of red flags being thrown up about factories and what's really the back of what is on a label, a manufacturing label.
You're right.
I mean,
you're right.
The world is changing, and you almost have to involve with it or kind of get left behind, right?
Yep.
Well, I only have a couple other questions for you. What's any wild stories or creative ways you've seen Bacon Up used that you'd have never thought to be used by any of your fans or y'all or anything?
Yeah, so we are talking to some people. They haven't fully engaged yet about getting Bacon Up infused bourbon that's something that's being discussed. Some groups in Kentucky. You know, the fried turkey, it does kind of your reaction to like, well, I've never thought about frying. Like, I could actually fry in this, because people don't think of it initially as it performing like a peanut oil or a vegetable oil, but it does.
What's the burn point, by the way?
Right at 400 degrees.
Okay, so you're perfect frying it.
Yeah, it really performs. And then the other, I would say, the texture that people experience on a fried piece of chicken, fish, catfish, or crappie, or what have you, like, man, I mean, because most people didn't fry in lard. I mean, they did decades ago, and now they've
nowadays
back,
they don't.
They don't. But
Right.
you go back to this, so a lot of the people that are now frying with this had not experienced frying in lard decades ago, and like, wow, that's a much better texture on that piece of chicken, or what have you. So.
Yeah, it was at my grandmother's house. It was lard or Crisco. I don't think she ever had a bottle of olive oil.
No, probably. Well,
if she did, it was probably expired in the back of the cabinet somewhere, like some other spices. Because the older people didn't, the spices and things they kept, it may be 10 years old, and they didn't use it but once a year,
even,
Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Like, I don't even remember growing up in my household having olive oil. Like in my house, at my parents' house, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Now we got 87 different kinds, right?
Well, unless it was being used, like my grandmother used it sometimes for a salad dressing.
Yeah.
Something like that, but not.
Yeah, we buy some of the flavored olive oils for salad dressing and things. But so, I always tie this back to family. What's some of the biggest challenges and advantages of running a family-owned business?
So advantages I mentioned earlier about the breadth of experience that the 5 siblings have to bring to bear, because we all are in different industries, different careers prior to this. So that's been a big benefit. Really has not been a lot of challenges. I mean, we've been close since we could all walk, and sure, we had our sibling fights and all that in the households growing up and what have you, but we're all very close. We still get together a couple times a year. Now our kids, so all the cousins, as we call them, are all very close. So we've been really blessed, to be honest, with the closeness we have our family. And sure, we have difference of opinions, but that's what brings the strength to a business, right? And has allowed us to get to where we're at. So
that's pretty cool.
We're really fortunate.
Well, I myself am glad to be a part of the Bacon Up family. I would like to say of using Bacon Up and supporting it, because I didn't know you or your brother or anything before till I met y'all, and was using Bacon Up. I just love the fact that you could buy bacon grease, honestly, because we don't fry a lot of fried foods, right? But cooking with bacon grease, I love cooking with bacon grease, right?
We even got my dad on it.
Yeah, I even got her dad on it. I started getting it from him.
What's he like doing with it?
Everything. Vegetables to any kind of cooking. He's so old school.
Yeah.
But he loves putting it in everything. He would rather use it than butter.
Well, and he's not a social media person or anything, so he had never run across it at that point, you know. But
he just got a Facebook last year.
He just got like a few months ago.
Yeah, like a few months ago.
Year?
Yeah, that's right, a few months ago. And
Heath, relationships are so important to me and my siblings, not only amongst us, but I mean, we've really appreciated the opportunity to get to know you. I know you've met Joe earlier than myself, and but there's a lot of great people in this industry, and it's fun. It's you start developing new friendships, and it's all about just enjoying people and enjoying what's in front of you on a day.
That's right. Well, that's why I always like to say I love shooting the Que, right? And I know today it's not all about barbecue, but it's in the same arena. And so seeing other businesses and people flourish, I love seeing that, and I love hearing people's stories. And so I'm just glad you come all the way from Dallas now to share your family experience of Bacon Up and tell your story, because I think more of the world needs to know about it. I love Bacon Up myself, and hope more people use it.
Well, really appreciate the opportunity to visit with you guys today, and look forward to extending the friendship.
So tell everybody where they can find you at and connect with you online or Bacon Up.
Yeah, so we do have a website, baconup.com. We have a store locator, 2 different store locators, one for the 3-gallon bucket, for this upcoming fall season, and then we have one for our standing retail location, which I mentioned, 15,000 growing to 16,000 easy to get in store locator and put in zip code and you find it. I know here locally, we're in the northern Mississippi area, southwestern Tennessee, and eastern Arkansas. Lowe's, Kroger's, Walmart. I don't know if y'all have Atwood's farm stores down here, but Ace Hardware's carrying us. So we're in a lot of, and Bass Pro, of course, in Memphis is carrying us. So, but easy to find us. I know your reach is broad across the country, Heath. So
it is.
Go to our store locator, but we're in almost all the major grocery stores and a lot of the hardware chains. But check us out at baconup.com.
Well, you heard that, folks. You can find David all over the country, and you can see us next week right here for another episode of Shootin The Que.
If you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please feel free to reach out to us on our social media channels. Leave us a review if you've enjoyed the show. And until next time, keep shooting the Que.